Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Zach, I have finally fully memorized that intro. I didn't even have to look at it. Feeling good about that. How you doing? Game day.
I'm doing well. I'm excited for tonight. This is it's a big game. It feels like a big game. It's the hours leading up to a big game have a certain rhythm, have a certain feel to it. I am curious the attire. I imagine there's some joke about me here.
No, there's no joke about you. There's a joke about me, actually. It's first of all very drippy, as Fran says in the chat. But if you were the kind of person who had to run around town frantically in order to find a Steelers hat for a joke on your Halloween podcast, and you found yourself at Lids, and it was a 2-for-1 deal, you figured, I got to get another hat, I guess. I don't have a Flyers hat. Got myself a Flyers hat. This is the first time I've worn it.
Well, you pulled
Unfortunately, at Lids, they did not have any logoless hats.
They actually, I would imagine they do have logoless hats. It's just probably not your proclivity, which is great. That's why Baskin Robbins has 31 flavors, right? There's something for everybody, and that's the same thing with attire.
Now, this is when, I'm not really a flat brim guy, but this one feels like it should go flat brim, but I don't know if I can pull off the flat brim.
Yeah, I can't pull off the flat brim. I actually have behind me here. So I have the PHLY hat, but I can't pull it off. Yeah. So I just use it as
the one flip side to that is I do think if I go backwards hat, you can keep the flat brim.
Okay, Dan Quinn, you're rolling the backwards hat now.
If I want to become head coach of the Commanders. Okay. But I feel like then you can pull off the flat brim. But me, straight on.
I think you can pull off most things, Bo. It's like Jalen Hurts said at the Super Bowl.
I do like this hat though.
What did Jalen say at the Super Bowl? I make everything look good. I think that was his response. So it was something of that nature. Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of how you are. You
goddamn right.
You wear what's the orange shirt or the yellow shirt, the mustard shirt. You pull it off.
And you specifically said that I wasn't pulling it off.
Well, no, I didn't think it was stylish, but I thought you pulled it off.
You can't. I mean, don't twist your own words. Don't backtrack. You took.
I wouldn't call it. I would not call it the word that became a drop yesterday. Which, by the way, my son was proud of me. I showed it to him.
Good.
He was proud. He wears, So it became a joke in our house because he'll wear the arm sleeve when he plays football and all that, and he'll say he wants to look drippy. But I was thinking I can't win. I didn't know the lyrics to the word to the song the other day, and you got on me about that. And then I used drippy, and you get on me about that. So it's like, damn,
what lyrics?
Damned if you don't.
I mean, those are not opposing things. Those are just two separate things.
The shoulder lean, right?
That's not a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Damned if I do, damned if I don't. But you excited for tonight?
I am excited for tonight.
Does it feel like a big game to you?
Not yet, but when I get to the stadium, it will feel like a big game. Yeah, we got a Jane home from school today situation.
Okay.
So, I'm not as locked in on the feelings today, but I'm very excited to get to the stadium. Yeah. So many things, like the stuff we talked about yesterday. This is the best, juiciest matchup of the season, football-wise, for the Eagles. We're going to learn if this team is really for real. I'm very excited about that. I'm excited to watch Jaden Daniels in person. Football-wise, I can't wait for this game. But even in addition to that, there are so many other things going on about this game. You got the Vinny Curry stuff. Very excited about that. You got our boys, Mount Joy, doing a thing with Jason Kelce before the game. Just announced that there's a Santa drives an Astro van on the Philly Special Christmas album this year. Can't wait for that.
Saw that.
And there are so many little intertwined relationships in this game, Zach. And that is why I have prepared for you a list of 17 people. And I want you, we're going to figure out what is going to be the most awkward pre-game interaction if two people meet before this game of all these different things. So, and I want you to let's do a scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
Now there are a couple of these that are like, for instance, we will get to let's say, like we'll get to Brian Johnson at some point. We got to figure out who the most awkward interaction is going to be, and then what number that is. So let's go 0 to 10. 10 being like, man, these two people really despise each other. 8 being like your interaction with Tony Ascenda before the Larry David show.
I never told that on the show.
I know.
Should I share that real quick?
Yeah, I think it's very funny.
Okay. Yeah. So, and shout out to Tony, great friend of the show, great guy.
Newly married.
He got married. Great. Yeah. So
Mazel.
Yeah. So basically, so I was at the Larry David show, and he said hello.
The irony that Larry David of all people would probably have most appreciated this.
Yeah. And so I introduced him to my wife Emily, and then I said to the person that he was with, I said, your husband is like I'm such a big fan of your husband, or something of that nature. And it was his sister. And
then is off camera right now.
And I felt, and the sad part, and first off, Tony wasn't married at the time, which I knew. Right, I know who Tony. Yeah, I know who Tony is marrying, right? But it's one of those things where, like, you're in a line, you're flustered, right? It's like my go-to thing. There's to compliment Tony, who I think the world of, right? And I felt Emily was just looking at me, shaking her head. So it probably was like, it was like Cheryl Hines and Larry David in that case. I know that's kind of an edgy joke right now.
I don't know we need to bring Cheryl Hines into this.
No, but I meant in Cheryl and Larry David. When all the times in Curb Your Enthusiasm when she's just like rolling her eyes.
It's so awkward when like you're just making dinner and all of a sudden your husband comes home with a the head of a whale. Okay. Yeah, I was referring to Curb Your Enthusiasm. And then he goes into the bathroom, he's taking dick pics to send to reporters. I mean, that is awkward.
Yeah, I was referring to Curb Your Enthusiasm. Okay. And so I felt so bad. But I did send Tony a message congratulating him on his
What was his reaction in the moment?
He was like, he's like, yeah, and my fiance is, I don't know.
What did the sister
She might have been
say?
In Europe. She said,
did
no,
I'm
his sister. She was like, I'm his sister. Yeah, I mean, I was so flabbergasted in the moment that, I shouldn't say flabbergasted. I was embarrassed. And it was one of those things where, I was saying hello to like this person and that person, and I just wasn't ready. I screwed it up.
All right, Zach. I have this in alphabetical order, 1 to 17.
Yeah.
Now it'll start with maybe lower on the level, but our first one here, and so I've gone through the Commanders roster, practice squad, coaches, front office, all kinds of stuff. Number 1, not the biggest one, but one that's on my radar, Jamison Crowder, who will be his most awkward pregame interaction.
Oh, you're asking me who? I thought it's Jamison and this person.
I have a guess.
I don't know. Who is it?
It's you.
It's me. It's me.
Yeah. If Jamison Crowder sees Zach Berman before the game tonight, he's gonna call over security and he's gonna say, I thought I had a restraining order against this guy already.
I gotta say, like, this is, if you want to be committed to a bit, this was from an episode talking about the New York Jets in a preseason game in 2019.
Preseason game.
It was regular. It was
a regular season game because the whole thing was about you talking about how like they got to worry about Jamison Crowder in this game.
No, I thought it was when we were assessing the teams, and I'm like, well, the Jets added Jamison Crowder.
Was it? Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I thought we were breaking. I thought I was talking about the Jets moves because it was in person, and we did the in-person pods during training camp.
Okay.
And I was like, and they added Jamison Crowder, and you were like, I
believe you.
You were cracking up at me.
I mean, I still think it's very funny. He's
still in the league, yeah.
So this is lower on the level. This would be about a 3.
Yes, this would be a 1. If Jamison Crowder saw, I don't even know if I would recognize Jamison Crowder, to be honest with you, if I saw him.
He would recognize you.
I don't think that either.
All right. Number 2, Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Jalen Carter? Is that the most awkward interaction for Jaden Daniels pregame here? What would it be?
I'm trying to think. Is there anyone who was on the Arizona State team? Because if you remember the Arizona State team, they were like stealing stuff out of his locker. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, look it up. When he decided to transfer, they were
okay.
they were like ransacking his locker. I don't think there's any Arizona State members on.
I don't believe so.
Either team. So yeah, Jalen Carter lifted him up with one arm. It was a famous shot. I retweeted on Twitter. Tim McManus asked the question. Good story by Tim McManus today on ESPN about the meeting that helped change the season. I would say that would probably be like a 3 because it was in the course of competition.
Yeah. They could laugh about it.
Sure. And Jaden Daniels has done just fine.
Yes, exactly right. Okay, now we get to some real, actual awkward interactions. Okay. Jahan Dotson. Now, is Jahan Dotson's most awkward encounter with Dan Quinn? Is it with Adam Peters? Is it with the wide receivers coach? Is it with Olamide Zaccheaus? Who is it with?
Good question. Well, it's not with Zaccheaus.
My guess is
probably Kingsbury or Quinn would be my guess. I mean, you could say Adam Peters, but I got to think that was coming from the coaching staff. Like the coaching staff was looking for guys to play. Right?
I think Dan Quinn is probably right.
Yeah, my guess is Dan Quinn. So
where does this one rank on an awkward 0 to 10?
I would say 7. You know, I have a piece up on allphly.com right now. Put it up this morning. I didn't get everything I wanted in there, but got a few things in there. And
you weren't able to write while you were driving to Doylestown last night?
Took me an hour and 46 minutes.
Oof.
Oh my goodness.
Zach.
I was hour and 46 minutes. Such a nice event. Appreciate everyone being there. Touched by everyone there, but man, an hour and 46
minutes. Were you late
minutes.
Or were you just on
No, but I planned on getting there early and writing at the coffee shop next door, and I got there just in time. So you would think that I left for the studio yesterday at 12:30, and I did not get in front of my computer again until 10:30 last night. So that was did not get the work I wanted to do. So as I was saying, so Jahan Dotson, he said that he had to get over. He said he had 2.5 hours to get over the trade, and that's where it happened. He was really downplaying it, but as I wrote in that piece today, like there is you're really showing what you think of someone when you trade them 2 years, when you trade a first round pick after 2 years. It's kind of like the Jalen Reagor situation with the Eagles. Like Jalen Reagor, Jahan Dotson.
There is one key difference in that it's the new administration staff, right?
Sure.
So you're less beholden to those guys. It's really gnarly if you do it. You were the team that drafted the guy, but yes.
But they clearly didn't think anything of him, right?
Very clearly. And it wasn't a surprise either. It was like that. Exactly. Those were the reports out of camp very early on.
Yeah, and it was a big story down there. Like, why isn't this guy playing? So, I would say that'd be a 7.
Okay, leader in the clubhouse is Jahan Dotson and Dan Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Next
and Dan Quinn's such a likable guy otherwise. So that's the thing.
Maybe not to everybody.
That's true.
All right, next up is another big one. Zach Ertz. Now, I think the answer here is probably Dallas Goedert. Right?
Yes. Yeah. I would say Dallas Goedert for sure. So yeah, I would say Dallas Goedert for sure. I don't think they were like the best of friends. I think that as Professor Selman joked yesterday, I think Dallas Goedert was waiting for like 2-3 years for him to get out the door. Am I like interrupting your?
No, like most of the chat, I am also thrown off by the flat brim, and I'm trying to figure out the best angle for it. I mean, do we go like side? I don't think so. Should I just bend it already? Do we go, straight to the back? That's not so bad, but then you don't see the Flyers logo. I don't know.
Yeah, I am getting a lot of questions about the mic too. A different setup today. Long story short, I typically use a desktop computer. That desktop computer is out of commission now. So now I'm on a laptop. The laptop is lower. So typically the camera is up here coming down. So you don't actually see, you only see the top of the mic. Here, the camera's coming up at me. And so you actually you don't see the books in the background, unfortunately, and you see a lot of the mic here. So not an ideal setup here.
So where do you put the Ertz Goddard interaction?
You know what?
I don't think it looks that bad if it's the down angle here, like straight on. Like this is not quite so bad, but it's when you see it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Down, it's not looking so good.
Yeah, you got to get the camera situation I had with the desktop where it's shooting down at you. Then it's then your eye level. That
I can do that if I go like this.
Oh, that's perfect, Bo. We just got to that you see that is perfect.
No, because then I still got to look up. Once I go down, I then got to look up.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going with 7 and I'm going with 5.5, 6 because they've already played against each other once. They played against each other in Arizona, so it's different now. Ertz is coming back here, but I think that interaction, like it's already been, 3 years past, right? So I think that has.
Now the question is it awkward? What might be more awkward is if there is somebody on the team still with the Eagles who is very happy to see Zach Ertz, and it's like they're very happy to see each other, and that person is not so close with Dallas Goedert, and then it's like an awkward second level thing.
Yeah, it's like there's a couple that broke up, and then you're excited to see the ex, and that'd be a whole thing there.
We learned today you're still friends with all your exes.
I didn't realize we were going to talk about this on the pod. So I mean,
they all live in Texas.
Here. I don't get the joke. Exes in Texas.
That's not a great
thing. Okay,
it's a song.
A bad joke.
All my exes live in Texas. Yeah.
It's the same person who says lean down or lean into it or what's
that's it. Lean down.
Okay. Yeah. What's the song?
Lean back.
Lean back.
Lean down is something else entirely.
Yeah, I don't know that either. Fran says it's always on the record. No,
so much. We got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of
record.
Feedback that yesterday's episode was people's favorite episode in a while. They loved the full 4 horsemen going on. Nice elongated preview, and boy, have we backtracked today.
Well, look, I went on to YouTube today, and we had like 4 shows upcoming in the in the preview. There's a lot of content rolling today. This being one of them. Consider this like, I don't want to say a bonus show, but consider
just a hang sesh.
Yeah, exactly. So you get to hang with us. What better way to bide your time? So look, Zach Ertz has a lot of friends in that building, a lot of admirers in that building. I don't think it's choosing between Ertz and Goddard.
Is there someone if you had to guess someone in the Eagles building who is going to be the most happy to see Zach Ertz tonight, who will it be?
That's on the current team
or staff? Yeah.
Okay. Good question here. Let's go Lane Johnson. Although Lane Johnson and Goddard are close as well. But Lane and Ertz came in together. They were in the same draft class. Okay, so I would have to say that. I mean, Kelsey's in the building tonight. I mean, I bet Kelsey, probably guessing Kelsey would be more excited to see Ertz than he would see Goddard. I don't know that to be a fact. So, yeah. I'm trying to think here. Yeah, that would probably be it.
Chiming in from the chat to say Thomas Booker.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, that's a good one. Maybe Jeffrey.
Jeffrey's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So which one so far more awkward? Dotson Quinn or Ertz Goddard?
Dotson Quinn.
It's
more raw.
Remains leader in the clubhouse. Now this is a very specific, very awkward interaction. Okay. If these two people see each other. And that is Emmanuel Forbes and AJ Brown. I mean, right away, Emmanuel Forbes, there's the guy who ended my career. AJ Brown, oh look, there's that scrub whose career I ended.
And you got the Ole Miss Mississippi State thing going too. Yeah, you know what? That's probably like a 7.2.
Then it's probably more one-sided.
Yeah,
it's much more awkward for Emmanuel Forbes than for AJ Brown. It's like it's the Don Draper. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, it's the madman scene you always talk about. That's true. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so more or less awkward than Dotson Quinn.
I think Dotson Quinn. I think Dotson Quinn's more raw.
Okay, I agree with that. All right. Well, we have more to go on this list just after this break. It's football season. Unfortunately, it's also pneumonia season. Help protect yourself from pneumonia. Now, I know that we got a lot of drippy young listeners to this pod, but we've also got, some older listeners. And for adults aged 50 and older, and I don't mean older, I mean, just more mature, more wise. And for the wise sickos among you, adults aged 50 or older are now eligible for the pneumonia vaccine. It was previously for ages 65 and up, but the CDC lowered the age recommendation to 50. That means that it's time for you to protect yourself. Millions of people get pneumonia every year, according to the CDC. It's a respiratory illness, and fall and winter are a time when germs that cause respiratory disease typically spread more in the community. So now is the time to get vaccinated and help yourself stay healthy. Some people who get pneumonia have mild symptoms, but others experience serious complications. And so get that vaccine, because the vaccine is one of the best ways to help keep yourself healthy, and it is usually no cost with insurance. Getting vaccinated for pneumonia is easy. Just walk into your local Rite Aid or schedule online at riteaid.com. And if you're unsure of what vaccines you may need, just ask your pharmacist for a personal recommendation. Stop by your local Rite Aid today.
I was at the gym today, and during a fly, I felt something in my shoulder, and I was like, oh goodness. And I was thinking, what did they say in the Rothman Ortho ad that we read? And this is relevant in everyday life, because if your joints are aching, or your hands are cramping, or your back is out of whack, or you seem to hurt your shoulder, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopaedics, practice and specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission: high quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty: hip, knee, spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right in your backyard. So you can cross over the defense, drain those jump shots, and root for the teams like no other fans in the country. They're Rothman Orthopaedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman they have 200 plus fellowship trained physicians specializing in specific areas of the body and a multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder, like I said, elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine and rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care. They proudly serve dozens of communities across Pennsylvania and New Jersey with 30 plus convenient offices, urgent cares, and walk-in centers. For more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of advancing knowledge, development, treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefits of their patients. And this is something that I always like to discuss, because it's not just the volume, it's just 255,000 of new patients and consults that Rothman is most proud of, but instead it's their commitment to improving each of these patients' lives through their service and care. Rothman Orthopaedics, specializing in orthopedics, and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
Now, you know what I did is I loosened it up a little bit. It's a little bit more comfortable. I don't know if it looks any different, but it feels a little better. Now, do you ever keep this guy in?
No, never.
Yeah,
never.
What are we doing?
I like the hat when it's kind of like fitting to the skull, if you will.
Yeah, me too. This one's a little too.
Yeah, so I can't pull that off. I can't pull that off like that.
WK's on board. It's just the angle. It's the angle.
Yeah. What do you think of the Fly guys this year?
Mitchkoff, baby.
I went to a great pizza shop last night. And
did you tell them what they were doing wrong?
No, I told them what they were doing right. I love this pizza. This was awesome. I'm actually, you know what?
My understanding is all pizza shops are places where people come with their complaints about why they are not making their pizza correctly.
I don't know where that's coming from. I don't understand the joke at all. But I went to Spatino.
I don't know if I could tuck the ears.
I went to Spatino in Doylestown. Great pizza spot. Okay. I know no free advertising, but they enjoy it. Anyways, what was I how did this come up? What was the topic we were discussing?
You went to a great pizza shop.
No. It was, what was the topic right before this?
Awkward interactions. Oh, the hat.
The hat. Oh no, the Flyers. Thank you. Okay, Flyers. Thank you, Polar Jam. And the person there, real nice guy making the pizza, came over, said, he said he's a fan. He said he loves Charlie O'Connor. And I said, yeah, I love Charlie O'Connor's work too.
That's so great.
Yeah, exactly. So he said if Charlie ever needs, like a pizza perspective, call him. So I was like, I'm gonna let Charlie know that. Now I'm letting the audience know. But yeah,
that's
great
fantastic.
pizza.
Oh, yep. I love that. All right, next up is
yeah. That I stuck the landing. I hope.
That was good.
Stuck the landing. Okay.
Next up is a very niche, awkward interaction that I think that you will remember, but it's possible you and I are the only ones who remember this. I have on here Julian Good-Jones, Zach. Do you remember
a fighter?
Do you remember the Julian Good-Jones interaction that might be awkward here?
He got in a fight in training camp, right?
No, you're thinking of Casey Tucker.
Oh, okay. Julian Good-Jones.
You're thinking of Casey Tucker. Julian Good-Jones. This is one of my favorite moments of all time. It was a Zoom press conference with Jeff Stoutland. And unfortunately, poor Jeff Stoutland could not for the life of him remember Julian Good-Jones's name. And he was just searching for it. He was searching for it and he couldn't find it.
That's tough right there.
And I had to chime in on Zoom. And I was like, Julian Good-Jones? He's like, yeah. So poor Julian.
No one can get it. No one can get a backup lineman off you.
Eventually Stout thought highly enough that they re-signed him a couple years later. But I think it's still somewhere in Julian Good-Jones's craw, and he might walk up to Stout and say hi, but not say what his name is first, just to check if Stout remembers him.
I'm making that a 1.5. I mean,
I think for Julian it might be higher.
I think it's not atypical for an undrafted rookie for the coach not to know your name. Now,
excuse me, you're the same guy who thought that there should be absolutely no credit given to Nick Sirianni for naming every wide receiver on the roster.
True. That's true. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you should get credit for it. I just don't think. I think sometimes it's like, I have a pet peeve when coaches and when like coaches call the other players by their number, right? I mean, like Nick Sirianni, Micah Parsons is number 11. You don't have to say we have a lot of respect for number 11 over there, right? That's like it's like a coach thing sometimes where this guy's to earn their ability to know the name. I think it's important to always know the name. So,
okay, now we get into some of the job interview awkwardness. And so next up, I have Alec Hallaby here, who interviewed for the Commanders' general manager position. Is his interaction more awkward with Josh Harris or with Adam Peters?
Probably Adam Peters. Yeah, probably Adam Peters, because I bet I bet Josh Harris liked Alec Hallaby. I think there's Josh Harris went to Harvard
Business.
Tell
me a little about this analytics that you're talking about.
No. Now look, Josh Harris went to Harvard Business School. He has an appreciation for this look you're doing. So I don't know. But Adam Peters is like, that's the woman who went to the, that's like the one who went to the prom. You ask someone, to the prom, they said no. They went with another guy instead, right?
You want to go to the prom with me? Are you gonna go? I'll give you $100 million to go with me.
Why do you dislike him so much? That's the thing. I'm like, I am apathetic toward him. Like I don't have, or why do you have such strong feelings for him? I kind of think like,
help who I am.
I kind of think like from a Sixers perspective, he's invested in the team. They pay over the tax. So I that face you're doing. People, if the audio listeners, Andy Reid's mustache says, ZB, if you don't hate Josh Harris, are you even a Philadelphian? I just think like, look, I'm not saying like you have to love Josh Harris. Bo and I have had this debate before. I don't think people cheer for the owners. Is my point. Like, how many people go to games and like, oh yeah, I love the owner, right? That's typically not the way. So yeah. So look, I get it that if you are, if it's a bad look if you also own the Devils or you also own the Commanders, but to me, like, I mean, I think if you're a Sixers fan, he's improved the franchise since he's been there.
So where do you think the Hallaby-Peters interaction ranks? More or less awkward than our pole position right now of Jahan Dotson, Dan Quinn?
Probably, look, it's business. It's business. I bet Alec realizes. I think
It's
Alec
an awkward
probably
interaction though. Yeah.
I gotta say, Alec probably feels. My guess is like more resentment over, or it'd be more awkward if you saw David Tepper.
Like, I don't agree with that.
Oh, really?
Because I feel like I would imagine that like Alec is happy that he didn't get that job if it was even offered. Like, that's a terrible situation. Whereas I think in Washington, there were lots of like easy levers to pull that would make you look good right away.
Yeah, but I think in Washington, they went with someone like from a resume perspective. I don't know Adam Peters, but from a resume perspective, it's like, all right, that's a sensible hire. Not to say, but like in Carolina, they just promoted the assistant GM of the team that was struggling before. So you're kind of like, what's this process here,
Yeah, but I think you probably know that it was for the best.
Okay. I don't know. There's only 32 of those or there's only 31 of those jobs in the league, right? Because Jared Jones is his own owner, or his own GM.
All right, alphabetically, we go from Hallaby to Harris. Who's the most awkward interaction for Josh Harris tonight?
The most awkward interaction for Josh Harris tonight.
Honestly, probably lubed up Eagles fans.
Yeah. I'm trying to think here. It would be, I would say, I mean, maybe it's probably awkward with Lori.
Yeah. I don't think it's that awkward.
Okay, I'm trying to think here.
Let's make each other some money.
Yeah, actually,
I think it's fans. What? I think it's Eagles fans.
If what's his name? If like Hilford is in the house, the Flyers. Is it David Hilferty? Is that his name?
I don't know.
The last name's Hilferty. Who's the first name? But
Francis the Mirror.
Wow. But yeah, good. I mean, yeah. No, you know what? It's probably like it's actually anyone who's walking over from the Wells Fargo Center lot.
Yeah, it's Eagles
because it's like I hate that building so much. I've been trying to do is get out of that building.
Get yelled at all night long from anybody who's within his range.
Yeah, and you know what? That comes with the territory. You bought the Commanders. That comes with the territory.
Okay, so but that more or less awkward. It's more one-sided. So we'll keep it at Dotson Quinn, but I think that may be overtaken by the next one, which probably the leader, I would guess, the betting favorite heading in, and that is Brian Johnson. There are a lot of awkward interactions, I imagine, for Brian Johnson. Now, Jalen Hurts, as you told us, said that they still stay in touch. This probably comes down to Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman, and Jeffrey Lurie. Who do you think who do you think is most awkward with?
Nick Sirianni.
I think so. Yeah.
First off, I think the thought is that Brian's hands were tied behind his back last year. That Nick, was heavy-handed in the offense. That he was kind of scapegoated, if you will, Brian Johnson. There were decisions last year that we think it was like it was Nick kind of pushing it. So I would say I would say Nick Sirianni.
And I would say that this is like
a 9. Okay, 10. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I mean, Nick knows
exactly
he had to scapegoat this guy, right? Brian knows that he was fully scapegoated and that Nick chose not to fall on the sword for his guys. Then he had to protect himself. He chose to protect himself. That's very awkward.
And also, Nick didn't know Brian Johnson when he hired him, right? Brian Johnson was a Howie hire at the time. We were, my understanding is Jeffrey Lurie thought very highly of Brian Johnson. Brian Johnson's promotion, not to say that Nick wasn't on board with it, but a big part of that was to keep Brian Johnson, because if they put Kevin Patullo as offensive coordinator, Brian Johnson would have been the OC somewhere else last year, right? So I think that, it has to be Sirianni, and I would say a 9.5.
Okay, I agree.
I want to say it's Dan Hilferty. I apologize. I should get everyone's name right. Dan Hilferty.
Only the ones that you know. All right, next up, this was going to drop off here, but I have Ryan Kerrigan. And my guess here is Josh Sweat, just from a perspective of Josh Sweat being like, wait a second. Where do I know that guy from?
You don't think Josh Sweat? No, I think Josh
it was
Sweat
3 years ago. He probably looks different when he's not in pads. So he's going to be like, wait a second. Is that my tax advisor? What's he doing over there?
You just think every how did you get tax advisor out of Ryan Kerrigan?
I mean, look at him.
It's
either that or a Republican congressman.
Does your tax advisor look like an edge rusher?
I mean, his face and his hair.
I don't know. I think actually, there's people in the Eagles front office who've been labeled accountants with no accounting background. They would probably be complimented that you think that Ryan Kerrigan looks like a tax advisor, right? So, okay. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have another job one, and this is another good one, and this is Cliff Kingsbury. So Cliff Kingsbury, again, as you told us on the show yesterday, told the Washington Post that this is the job that he wanted. He wanted the Eagles job. So, or
that he would have accepted it. Yeah, he would have accepted it. This was before the wash. If you remember, Dan Quinn was hired late in the cycle. So
got it.
I think he might have liked the Washington job more because it would have come with the number 2 pick, maybe more money. I don't know, but this was before the Washington job was available.
So is it more awkward on this one with Sirianni, Roseman, or Lurie, or Jalen? Or with Kellen Moore?
Yeah, probably Kellen Moore. First off, I think quarterbacks in general probably have they probably size each other up as it is, right?
Who's the alpha in the room? They think it's it's a constant measuring contest.
Well, I'm not calling it that. I'm just saying look, these guys, similar. They were decorated college quarterbacks. Kellen Moore more so than Cliff Kingsbury. Kellen Moore was number 2 or number 3 in the Heisman voting, right? They're backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Cliff, they're
similar arcs.
Yeah, similar arcs. Now, Cliff Kingsbury was an NFL head coach, right? But they, you got to think Kingsbury being a Texas guy, probably the Cowboys OC job is a big deal, right? Kellen Moore had that job, so they're probably up. They've probably been up for jobs in the past, that kind of thing. Kellen Moore's kind of
right, because Kellen Moore does not strike me as the kind of guy who's walking into any room and sizing up the personalities to make sure he's the alpha.
Yeah, different personalities, right? No one's calling Kellen Moore Ryan Gosling, right? But I'm just saying they don't look alike. I appreciate. I think there should be a Wolf's Den with Kellen Moore about left-handed quarterbacks. That'd be a good Wolf's Den.
What?
Name every left-handed quarterback in NFL history. I don't know.
Sounds great.
Commands. Name all the commands.
I didn't publish that one.
That's a page turner.
Name all the left-handed quarterbacks. What are you? The Athletic, copying my stuff for the entire company without any of the craft involved, and giving me no credit?
I'm telling you to do it.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Do you know the the two left-handed quarterbacks in the NFL right now. There are two.
Michael Vick and Matt Leinart.
No. Tua Tagovailoa and Michael Penix. What? Tua's not left-handed? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he is. Tua is left-handed.
That's what I said. Tua Tagovailoa.
You got to work on that one.
Did I pronounce the name incorrectly?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you pronounce the last name?
Tagovailoa.
Okay. That deserves such a. I wasn't that far off.
I mean, I am generally on your side on these pronunciations and stuff. That one was nowhere near.
All right, and then Michael Penix Jr.
Got it.
Okay.
That sounds like a good Wolf's Den.
Let's just proceed, okay? I can't win with you. I can't win. I'm seriously.
I'm sorry. Was that Tua not like?
Is your dryer? Is your laundry finished?
My dryer.
Okay.
It's the air horn. We just scored a goal. Mitchkov just scored. All right, we got to take a break. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and they live stream over 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLB. They pioneered live in-game betting, and today they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. You want to join the fun? Now's the time. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. They've even got a Thursday night touchdown deal. See for yourself with their Thursday night touchdown offer. Place qualifying parlay bets totaling $20 or more on tonight's game and get bonus bets for every touchdown. Terms and conditions apply. Download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. One more time, download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets. When you bet $5, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I'm going to be in LA next week, and there's a game that I really want to go to. And I've been looking up on GameTime for the past few weeks to try to get it into a price range that I'm comfortable with. And I know that I can bring it up right until tip-off because GameTime is the app that I can feel comfortable with. GameTime has a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. With GameTime Picks, it filters out the fluff, which is great. Always filter out the fluff. And shows you only incredible deals, which is great. I like incredible deals, on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So there's the live event that I'm interested in seeing is in LA in 2 weeks. And I know that I can get a super deal and know how it's so good. I can see different tiers of deals. I can also see curated deals, which makes it easier to find the best price on great seats, the super deal. And this is a building that I've never been to before, and I'm eager to see it. And so I can go to the seat view before I buy to see exactly what it will look like in that seat. And has the lowest price guarantee in the event cancellation protection, job loss protection, which is outstanding. GameTime Picks curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. All in pricing. You can toggle this feature to show the total up front, which I always do because I can't stand surprise fees at checkout. The seat views, which is a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. So this is the first time I'll be in this building. It won't be a surprise to me. And the lowest price guarantee, because if it's not, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download GameTime app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? GameTime.
All right. We have 6 more to go through here. And at the end, we're going to take some questions from the chat. But before we do that, we didn't come down on Kingsbury, Kellen Moore. Is that more or less awkward than the Brian Johnson Sirianni? Less, right?
Less. Yes, less.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next.
I don't think Kingsbury has awkward interactions. I just think he's like, he's smooth in any situation.
You trying to date the guy?
No, I just think that's part of his like je ne sais quoi, right? Is
he's an a-hole? Like,
no, he's probably just not like flustered.
Because he spends his offseason coming up with a cool plan for the season and then never changes it the rest of the year, and that's why his teams always do bad. Why is Kingsbury getting so much gas? Like he's the coolest guy on the planet.
Someone asked me a question recently, and they said, "Does Bo like anybody?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's he likes Christian Ellis. I mean, I'm like, he likes Coyote Awashika. like anyone who you compliment, he's like, he rips on everyone. He's appalled by everybody, and I'm like, you're not Christian Ellis, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. When is Cliff Kingsbury the coolest guy in the world?
I didn't say he's the coolest guy in the world. I just said I don't think he feels awkward interactions. As a matter of fact, if you read the coverage from Arizona, one of the complaints about him is that he was too passive, like he was afraid of confrontation, or like he didn't want confrontation, right? Like he was kind of like passive, let things slide.
Underlying insecurity. That's
I'm not saying he's insecure. I'm just saying I don't think he's like I think he like doesn't, I think people who like who embrace confrontation are okay with awkwardness. Like they're willing to just have like that steely conversation. That was never Cliff Kingsbury's thing.
Okay. All right. Next up, I have, and this is another lower level one, but one that's kind of funny to me, and that is Marshawn Lattimore. And I think it's a slightly awkward interaction with Zach Bond. Like, what the? Who is this guy? When did you get so good, dude?
Yeah. Or maybe Marshawn Lattimore knew he was so good, and it's like, what's Dennis Allen thinking?
Yeah. It could be a fun one.
Yeah.
And Zach Bond's like, I tried to tell you, man. They're playing out of position.
Yeah, I would say that one's probably pretty low.
That's a fun one. Okay, next up, Marcus Mariota. Is it Pickett? Is it Jalen?
Yeah.
Is it Howie?
Maybe Tanner McKee.
Tanner McKee, that's a good one.
Yeah, right. Because there were some people writing last year that Tanner McKee should be the backup.
That's a good one.
So yeah, probably Tanner.
Then Marcus looks, they didn't even let you beat out this guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a good one. Tanner's a good one, but still lower. This is another silly one. Luke McCaffrey. I have here Cooper DeJean, just white on white. He never sees that before. It's kind of awkward.
I don't even know how to address that. Yeah.
Next up, I have Dan Quinn. I think the Quinn Kellen Moore thing that you
by the way
outlined.
Okay. No, go on. I was gonna say, hold on one second. Look up with Luke McCaffrey. Luke McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey went to Nebraska, okay, before he went to Rice. And I don't know if he ever played against Iowa when he was there, but I'm sure they've crossed paths. They were in the draft together. They probably saw each other in Indianapolis this year.
Doesn't make it less awkward.
I don't think Cooper DeJean's going to find Luke McCaffrey an awkward conversation. But yeah.
No, it's more the other way. He doesn't know if his moves are going to work on a white guy.
All right, keep going.
Dan Quinn, Kellen Moore.
Oh, no, I think they were friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say that's pretty low.
But it's an awkward sort of like it's a chess match. It's it's like you don't give anything away.
Sure. Okay.
Nice to see you. Like, oh, I accidentally dropped my opening script. Sorry. It's all fake plays. Okay. Not so high. The last two ones are not as good. Jeremy Reeves, Howie Roseman.
because he cut him.
Yeah, he turned into a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I mean, I would think it's probably more awkward Howie and Ertz than Howie and Reeves, right? Howie and Ertz didn't end too well at the end there. If you remember, they had that screaming match on the field. Howie wasn't trading him for a while. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy Reeves, it worked out well for him in the end.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for Howie though.
That's true.
Although they don't care about special teams. And then finally, Olamide Zaccheaus.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dotson might be the answer. Or it's Jalen Hurts, and Olamide's like, see, they threw me the ball like 6 times. Look what I did.
Trying to think here. Yeah, Quez isn't here anymore. Is there is there like an AJ Devontae thing there? Is there a Gainwell?
Gainwell?
Well, like, I think that outside of AJ, Devontae, and Dallas, everyone else in that offense was probably just like, it was a death match for touches, right? So every time that Gainwell got it was a chance that OZ wasn't.
Okay.
Right? Maybe if like Julio Jones comes by.
By the way,
yeah,
we didn't talk about the big news.
What's the big news?
Jack Stoll claimed on waivers.
Yes, yeah.
The Miami Dolphins. They don't. Bring him back.
I was wrong about that. Number one, and number two, I bet Howie regrets that. I think Howie thought he was going to get him through.
I mean, I'm pretty surprised. This is one where it is a little bit of a surprise that he got claimed. He might still be back again at some point, but yeah, I mean, do you think we're gonna get do they have to declare
by 4:30?
By 4:30, okay. So we're not gonna hold on for that, but
yeah,
I would expect a Uzama elevation.
Yeah, we should have mentioned that.
This means that maybe they're gonna have to eventually, if you play it forward 3 weeks, have to promote AJ Jenkins to the active roster.
Or just do 3 weeks of Uzama, then figure it out. They could do that punting situation.
Yeah. 3 weeks of then.
No, but then they could just sign a different tight end to the.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But the rules of the Eagles in-season transaction so that it has to be a tight end who's played for the team before.
That's true.
So maybe they can bring Dick Rod back.
Maybe they can sign Albert O. It's the statute. Is there like a period of time?
I mean, honestly, they might do that.
Yeah.
Maybe. What was his name? Brady Russell.
You're really going back. What about this year was McCollum Castles. The agriculture
injured.
Yeah. I want to push back, by the way, on FI7 in the chats. This is the episode they're going to submit for the YouTube Podcast Awards. I frankly think this has been a pretty good episode, right? We're giving you a 2:00 episode on the day of a game. I actually prepared for I was going to give like some Ertz stories, and I thought we were going to take mailbag questions. I didn't know we were doing this device until we started the show.
Yeah. I didn't know how long it was going to last.
Yeah, but it's been a good device. You've had some laughs, and yeah, I got to think like this is probably a fun hang for an hour. You're at your office right now. You're working from home. Yeah, come on. By the way, if there are YouTube Podcast Awards, I would like to know because I got to put
to keep you up at night.
I got to put our submission together. I got to know who our competition is. Yeah, so that's something that I do want to know that.
What Zach Ertz stories have you prepared?
So there's a few that I think is it's kind of look. Zach Ertz, I covered his whole career here. I think he's one of the best players in certainly the time, in the past 25 years. That's why he's a chapter in this book. There are a few that will come to mind. In addition to like the way he really endured in his career, dealt with criticism. He was a good player who found ways to improve, address shortcomings in his game. But I think a cool kind of behind the scenes Zach Ertz story. I mentioned this last night at the book signing because I was giving kind of personal stories on each of these guys. And so Zach Ertz, when he was growing up, he went to a speech therapist. He had a bit of a speech impediment, and or I shouldn't even say a speech impediment, but he had something he was working on with his speech. And his first press conference in Philly, they had to end it abruptly. Okay. Because he was struggling to get his words out. And so this is like a little known thing. So Jason Kelce gives like the most famous Super Bowl speech there's ever been, parade speech there's ever been, right? Everyone remembers the parade speech. Very few people remember who spoke directly after Zach Ertz. Oh, I'm sorry, directly after Jason Kelce. And that's Zach Ertz. And so can you imagine like being the one who follows that, number one? And then number two, you already have like a public speaking is something you've like worked on, but it's a fear of yours or it's something you're kind of dealing with. And you just replaced this or you're following this most epic speech. And he spoke for about like 2.5 minutes. It wasn't like memorable, but it was really meaningful to him. It was really meaningful to his family. I spoke to his mother, Lisa, about this. And I just think it's like a really cool thing. And it's how someone, fights through something that's challenging. He could have said, I don't want to speak on the art museum steps or this isn't the right setting, but he worked on it. I thought that was a pretty neat Zach Ertz story. I also think there's one that I love.
Well said.
Kobe Bryant spoke to the Eagles in 2017, and Zach Ertz he raised his hand. Kobe Bryant was Zach Ertz's favorite player. Zach loved Kobe Bryant. He always wanted to spend his whole career with one team like Kobe did and Jason Witten did. And that was part of kind of the pain of moving on from the Eagles. And so he raised his hand and he asked Kobe his favorite book or what book he recommends. And it was, I believe the book was Jonathan Livingston Seagull by Richard Bach, I believe was the book. And Zach ordered it that night and he read it and he's read it a number of times. And like, there's like different messages from that book that he still kind of hangs on to today. So that's another, and by the way, Jalen Hurts he's been doing a great thing this year that I tweeted about with, he's donating $5,000 for every touchdown for air conditioning in public schools in Philadelphia. I think there's like 49 schools that still need to be addressed here. He needs to raise an additional 200,000, but like there are, kids in this area who, have a community center in North Philly right now because of Zach Ertz, there are people who are fed on Thanksgiving who have toys on Christmas, who have jackets during the winter because of Zach Ertz. So I think that's that's also what I respect about Zach Ertz.
Amen. Bringing the heat. I love that.
Yeah.
Good perspective.
Thank you.
Okay. And what are your stories about Ryan Kerrigan?
Ryan Kerrigan. Well, Jimmy Kemsky always talks to me about this, which was
I hope. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's probably the one you're thinking of. Is that back in 2021, we didn't get to pick who we talked to at press conferences, right? And so yes. Ryan Kerrigan comes up, and the Eagles clearly needed edge rusher help. And I'm thinking it's
like November.
Yeah, I'm like, this is the last time that we might speak to Ryan Kerrigan before the season's over. And at the time, George Karlaftis was a real productive player at Purdue. I knew the connection between Kerrigan and Karlaftis. Karlaftis grew up in West Lafayette, or he moved to West Lafayette, and so it was there for a period that he looked up to Kerrigan. I knew there was kind of a background with them, and so I asked him about George Karlaftis, and it was like a really random question in the middle of the season, but I thought that could be something that would be beneficial if they drafted George Karlaftis, which they very well might, or they could have drafted George Karlaftis that year. They ended up signing Hassan Reddick and then trading that pick for A.J. Brown, that second pick that year. But in an alternative universe, George Karlaftis could have been a guy they drafted.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he also have a thumb injury?
He did.
Very good.
Yes.
Yeah,
good memory. He also had a great final game.
Yeah,
the playoff game.
He was like the worst player in football the entire regular season, and then he had an unbelievable playoff game, and he was the only player who played well. Okay. I think that's about all we got, Zach.
So we'll say here that we got some great shows coming up tonight. We have the pregame show. We have the watch along. We have the postgame show. I'll be on pregame and post. Special night for Vinny Curry at PHLY's own. I'm excited for Vinny. Bo mentioned the cool things happening at the stadium. Friend of the show, Matt Quinn from Mount Joy, like you mentioned. I think that's awesome. Although we got to say, I hope Matt recognizes I hope we're still the official Eagles podcast.
Yeah, you're worried he's going to be too big for us, huh?
yeah. I got to say,
thanks for watching on TV. Okay. If you're watching on TV, go to allphly.com to watch the last 3 minutes here.
And then I didn't give my prediction on yesterday's show.
Yes.
And I'll do that here.
Also, there's the watch along tonight. You can watch the entire game with Fran, Jamie, and Rich. They're gonna be hanging on YouTube during the game.
That's awesome. Make sure you check that out. So the Eagles tonight are the over under is 49.5. Okay. The Eagles are 3.5 point favorites, right? And so I like the Eagles in this matchup. I think the Eagles are the more talented team. I think the Eagles are hot. The Eagles are healthy. I respect what the Commanders are doing, but I actually think there's a bigger gap in this point spread here. And I understand Thursday games can sometimes be fluky, right? But I also kind of lean on talent on Thursday night games. It's not as game plan specific. And I think that the Eagles win this easily. And I'm going 30-20 Eagles.
Interesting.
And that would also get me a swooper point. Because I have 22? I have sub 22.
Yeah, but then we get Fran one too. They win by double digits.
Yes.
There you go. It's going to be a very good game. I'm excited to learn more about the team tonight. Yeah, good stuff. I like all the jokes in the chat about the hat. It's good.
What are you wearing tonight?
This.
Oh, okay. I appreciate Frank going jacket. Right. When I took this job, I was like, do I still go jacket?
He went shirt and tie.
Or shirt and tie. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what I meant. I appreciate Frank going shirt and tie. I remember when I took this job, it was week 2 last year. It was actually the Thursday night game was the first time because I remember it was during the day, and I'm like, I've always worn jackets to games. I know, like, All City might not be like a shirt and jacket company.
Well, Fran says he's going jacket tonight.
Yeah, and Emily was like, be yourself. They hired you. Don't change who you are.
Amen, Emily.
And that was those were words I needed to hear then. There was a lot going on that week, all right? And that was awesome. So whenever I wear a jacket now to games, I think of Emily telling me that.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go tie. Just tie.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Shirt and tie. Shirt and tie.
No, just tie.
Just tie. Okay. Well, I know you can pull it off. You always do.
Yeah. Tie and hat.
Tie and hat. Maybe you should wear I wish you had a Marshall, like a 75 jersey.
That would be cool. Yeah.
I think actually something that was on the show the other day. I didn't talk about this. I retweeted the Marshall beat writer. I appreciate him putting out, listening to the show. I think it's awesome that Vinny's doing this. It's a sad day, but on the anniversary.
They gave him his choice. Accident. He specifically wanted to do this. To
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
He
and
wore
that's
75 for that reason. Yeah, he's
exactly
takes it very seriously.
Yeah, I think that's so cool, and that's like I respect thoughtful gestures like that, and that's a thoughtful gesture.
And by the way, at some point we're going to get to this, but I was watching an old video on PhiladelphiaEagles.com this week in preparation for Vinny's retirement. This is from 2014, an episode of the Eagles Beakley podcast. And boy, I did not do a very good job, but I missed that hair. The hair looks good. Vinny was great. Fran had just got back from his honeymoon, and we mentioned Zach Berman in the first 3 minutes of that episode.
Really? Yes. In what respect?
You'll have to wait and find out.
Oh gosh. Okay. Were you making fun of me? Probably making fun of me.
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
But it was a lot of fun.
All right, good.
Very, very cool to see that the Vinny Curry then, who was going into his third year, just had gone through the defensive transition, finding his way in the league. etched out a career as long as he did, became a franchise cornerstone player, and now gets to retire as an Eagle with his family there. Very, very cool. So hopefully we'll get to talk about that on the post-game show tonight after a very exciting game between the Eagles and Commanders. Storylines galore, football nerdery allure? Tua, we had a super chat. Tua Tagliatelle, I believe, was the
what I said. I said Tagliavoa. Is that what I said? Tagliavoa.
I don't know what you said.
Okay. Well, I pronounced it incorrectly. I'm sorry, Tua. I should have worked on your name this summer. I will do better next time. I vow to do better next time.
I mean, at what point would you have worked on his name this summer?
I said I was going to work on names this summer.
Wasn't that a couple summers ago?
No, that was this past summer. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and Fran is right. This was extremely funny. It was so on point. Fran had just got back from his honeymoon, and in like the first 45 seconds of the episode, he tells us where he went on his honeymoon. It's real. Like there's all kinds of through lines.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, I've said this. If you're a new listener to the show, it's because on
you gotta stop yelling to that mic. That mic is tough.
Sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. Wow. Okay. On bank account passwords or things like that, they say, "Where did you go on your honeymoon?" So that's why I didn't reveal it. That's all it was. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Zach's got a long drive to Doylestown before the game tonight, so we got to let him go. We will talk to you for the kickoff show at 7:45, then the halftime show, then the post-game show. Meanwhile, you can join us for the watch-along. All kinds of stuff on PHLY tonight. And if you haven't listened yet, you still got time to check out yesterday's 2-hour episode with Daniz and Fran as well. Very exciting night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. We will talk to you later. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.